Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. Good morning and welcome to other edition of the program. Good Morning Salone, where they come to you from 98.1 FM. We want to apologize for all the starts the program a little bit late due to some challenge the MOA we get with computer then this morning. But nonetheless, we don't come on back and we go continue with the program. Good Morning Salone, where they come to you from 98.1 FM. Today, on Thursday, May 9, 2019, we where they bring this Thursday edition of the program come to you. Mina Asma James.
And Mina Mabel Kaba, good morning. Inside this edition of the program, Good Morning Salone, the leader of government business and parliament, Honorable Mohamed Sidi Tunis, don't confirm say parliament don't ask the Anti-Corruption Commission for investigate and charge people we get case for answer for sake of the special audit reports. For always the Public Accounts Committee still they look inside this document. The Chief Executive Director on a Campaign for Human Rights and Development International, Chadi, Abdul M. Fatoma, don't call on government for protect civil society activists them where they operate in Salone. And today inside the program, Radio Democracy will talk to the European Union country representative, Tom Vance, where they can talk about the importance of the European Day, where now today May 9, 2019, and they support them where the EU they give to Salone.
Well, this plenty other story them for you now the program, plus the Miltimagai School for the Blind together with the Miltimagai School for the Deaf don't petition 6 different institutions them and enforce law them we go make the roads safe for people them we get disability. Wakaboton are part of the program. Yourself can be part of the program, so you text message and comment them to the number 077-981-981. You can also listen on www.radiodemocracy.sl. You can go now with Radio Democracy Facebook page and drop your comments there. The program now Good Morning Salone and they come to you from 98.1 FM. But today, Thursday, May 9, na European Union Day, or Europe Day. Well, inside the studios, we get the European Union country rep na Salone Tom Vance. Good morning, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
And congratulations on this day.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us, we'll be with you shortly.
The first issue we look at inside the program this morning, now say some people were a fire victim the inside one fire incident we happen at AJ Momo Street, this BNTM na Tower Hill. They call on government through the Office of National Security and other social organization them for help them within them for it and other facility them. We report our Waniga Ojagemo on this and go reports.
Inside April 27 this year, where Salone be celebrate Independence Day. Around 8 o'clock na net, over 90 hosts them be born na AJ Momo Street na Tower Hill. Where this don't make but 300 people them no get side again for tap.
So I didn't tongue at the cell water and then call me say fire. Why ask na say, hey, I say what thing cause this fire yeah, so then they say the lights be the kind of go, the kind of go, the count power, you understand eh? So all sign now, we know able the most important thing will be the type for pulley picking there. Out of the houses there because some people them be don't sleep, then they we know able pull nuts.
From where this fire incident be happen, our life talek for people them na this community.
Right now, I don't sleep. You know, getting for it better. Not know for West uniform don't bomb. So they pay Papa compensate the every. Now we see my voice we don't cut the cold. Only because they don't the other one safety day the vomit is the cold. And for right now, I don't sleep. We net all my friend cover la power do. You know, easy for it. Because then you go school, they no get uniform there. The uniform they all don't bond.
With this situation, where then community people here they go through, they raise concerns say they no get help aid from people. We make them call on government and social organization them for can to the aid.
Life from that time to now, I think say a very bad, a very sad, a very horrible. We're able to get support from ONS, when the Office of National Security, where I think say with disaster can happen at the first can come to people that aid. We're able to get any support from the aid. We're able to get support from any government agency or from any NGO. So I think say the support that we would need now, one is food. People that don't get food now, the affected people. We also need bed. People that need for sleep. As you see, most people now can sleep now though.
Well, the situation right now is rough for we. They will be born Saturday nights, na morning ONS and can't take names then. For more than can't take names then, and them come missing then they can up to now not see that it's.
I dey beg all the organization they let them help we. Dear, let them help we. It's not easy for we. One, the sleeping place, because I don't they sleep with two picky, they'll take over la koba. Then now the most important thing, the sleeping place. Don't two, right now, now first month don't cancel. Don't three, now rain season back don't cancel. No, no go they sleep now, do bambay say, how do picky then can see cold, do we not get money because money they all don't burn, all two don't burn, we not able to pull nothing. No go they can't sleep now, do picky then can sick or center yourself can sick, money not there for go hospital. So they are the big all the organization there.
Then people here say, plenty for them picking them, don't tap school force for sake of these fire incidents. For Radio Democracy, me, Nawani Gauja.
Right, we continue with the program Good Morning Salone, where they come to you from 98.1 FM. Well, we're there this morning, today na Europe Day, and we get the EU ambassador to Salone, Ambassador Tom Vance. We will tell everybody the importance of this day and the support where they don't give to Salone, with about 376 million euro. You can tell me more about that. Well, today Thursday, like I don't say May 9, European Day. Inside Brussels and other EU member states them across the world, they celebrate this day for peace and unity in Europe. Same way, so this day, now they remember the anniversary of Schuman Declaration of 1950, when the French Foreign Minister Robert Schuman be asked for joint authority for oversee French and Germany production of coal and steel. Well, in all of this, also the European Union, they support Salone political, social, and economic development, and for help the citizens of Salone come out now this country also. They don't they support in different aspects them where we can talk about. And also, like I say, 376 million euro now they support the country with. Last year, today again, you were here, Ambassador, to talk about the day and your support to Sierra Leone. It's a pleasure to have you again this morning.
Thank you very much.
So in my intro, I hope I did justice to the meaning of this day today. Can you tell us more?
Thank you, and it's great to be back at Radio Democracy. It's always good to be here, and it's great to be here to celebrate with you and with the people of Sierra Leone Europe Day, which is a very important day, I would say, for the people in Europe and for the rest of the world, with whom we have strong partnerships. So as you have indicated, we are celebrating this particular day because this is now 69 years ago that Robert Schuman, who was the French foreign minister at the time, issued a declaration, a speech, which really set in motion the whole process of unifying the European Union. And at the time, we have to bear in mind that we came just out of the Second World War. A few years before that, we had the First World War, and let's not forget that even the centuries before, Europe had been ravaged by war. So this is the scene in which Robert Schuman delivered his speech, and where he basically called for working together between those nations who had been at war for so many years as a recipe to maintain the peace and to promote unity and prosperity. So we have a very strong reason to celebrate today, this day, this Europe Day, which is about peace, which is about unity, which is about prosperity, which is about European citizenship, and which is about our partnership with the world.
50 years ago, this declaration was made, like you've said, to unify Europe and for peace and unity. But there is no war in Europe as we speak. But there's an issue, with migration. There's an issue with Britain wants to move from the European Union, and that's a form of war in another form. So how do you think the European Union is unified?
Listen, we have to put things in perspective, and there is no process that is just linear. When we look at the history of the European Union, it started in a way perhaps with a very ambitious vision, but with a modest project. And it started with bringing together 6 countries at a time around cooperation on steel and coal. This has evolved over the years into a very ambitious and well-functioning European Union, which is a political union now, which is an economic union, which is a social union. And yes, of course, this is a process which has had some setbacks, but overall the achievements that we can look back on as European Union and the successes that we have had, I think are tremendous, and I think we can all be very proud of that. And if you want me to enter into some of the details, so the first one, and you have mentioned it, this issue of peace is a very important one. Yeah. And I must say that with the enlargement process, because in the meantime we have evolved from a union, even though it was not, or a community at the time, of 6 to a union of 28 member states, we have preserved the peace in Europe, and not only have we preserved the peace in Europe, we have also been a peacemaker in other parts of the world. And I think that, for example, what has happened in Colombia in the last years, where the European Union has played a very important role, is an example of that. It goes down to very more tangible things, what we have achieved for our citizens. We have a very successful program in Europe called Erasmus, which has allowed for millions of students to study in other parts of the world. By the way, if I'm talking about education, we now have a situation that all diplomas and masters are recognized across the European Union. This mobility that the European Union within has achieved, where anybody can settle anywhere, work anywhere, get recognition for what he or she has studied, is a major achievement. When you travel in Europe, when you move around, you don't pay roaming charges anymore, which facilitates mobility. When we look at the creation just of a single market, where all the goods are flowing without any kind of barriers, this is a major achievement. When we look at the creation of a democratic union where people can directly take part, and by the way, we will have elections in Europe in 2 weeks' time, where people can also, through citizen initiative, have a direct say in the future of what they see as Europe. This is a major achievement. Well, I can go on, and I will be happy to do so.
So has this got any impact in Sierra Leone, for example, with activities of your citizens here?
Or if you are talking about taking part in the elections, so European citizens...
The Europe Day.
Sorry?
The Europe Day.
The Europe Day as such, well, of course, we will be celebrating it here today as well with the European citizens, but with all our partners here in Sierra Leone. It's a day that we want to mark. We want to mark not just what we stand for as Europe, but also what we have achieved through this partnership and how we relate to the rest of the world. And by the way, I want to inform you, we have now 140 representations in the world. So we, as EU, we're a major diplomatic player also, and we're very happy that we have these strong partnerships with countries like Sierra Leone, where we can do things together also on the global scene. This is not just about advancing a national development agenda, this is also about working through multilateralism on the global scene, addressing global challenges together. So yes, we have plenty of reasons to celebrate here also.
So today, as the EU celebrates this day today, we know you support Africa a lot, Sierra Leone for example, but also have the issue of migration, where it's difficult for migrants to enter into the European Union. And as stated, the reason why this day is observed is to unify, even though it's to unify Europe, but it's for peace and unity. So what's the status of migrants now, as they've been refused to enter Europe?
The issue of migration is, this is a global problem that we're facing. This is, and I would like to emphasize that often this issue of migration and irregular migration is characterized as a major crisis for Europe, but it isn't. And I will put it into perspective with some figures. But let me first say that when we look at migration, we have to recognize that migration in the first place, it takes place within a regional context. Most migrants, and if you wish to call it irregular migrants, go from one country to their neighboring country. And the tremendous efforts which are being done by neighboring states in accommodating these migrants, I think has to be recognized. Now, when I look at Europe, at some point, and it is undeniable that this whole theme of the irregular migrants has dominated the political scene for quite some time in Europe, but we have to put the figures in perspective. And if I look at the situation today, and I'm talking about figures from the middle of last month, the number of migrants which have reached Europe now, irregular migrants I'm talking about, is less than 20,000. When I look back to 2015, we were talking about 1 million. So, and even 1 million in the context of Europe, which has a population of 520 million citizens, I would not characterize that as a major crisis. But of course, this is something that has to be managed. And the solution for most migrants is not in Europe. The solution for most migrants, and of course, we have to make a distinction between those who are fleeing from persecution, from war, violence, and migrants who are seeking better economic opportunities. The latter group constitutes the biggest part, I would say, who are coming to Europe or who are trying to come to Europe. And we have to address that in many ways. One is by really creating the conditions for people to find a proper destiny for themselves, prosperity in their countries of origin. And this is a major focus. We have increased our support also to countries of origin a lot to address some of these challenges. And secondly, I also want to say that we have opened up a lot also routes for regular migration, because that is often not captured. But we have created a lot more avenues actually for regular migration, where basically migrants can settle in a proper way without having to take risks for their own life, that they can actually get proper settlement.
With all of this, you earlier said the solution for most of those migrants is not in Europe. Why so?
I think for anybody, whether you are from Africa, from America, from Asia, anybody has a strong sentiment about their national identity, about belonging in the place where you come from. I think this is the same for you. You feel love for your country. You want to build a future here, but you want to have the opportunity to do that. I think this is true for the very vast majority of people. And we have to work from all directions to allow people in the first place to actually build their future where they are. People should not be exposed to risks, and let's not forget that people continue to die, taking major risks for themselves, for their families. People should have an opportunity really to build a future where they are, where they want to be in the first place. And that is not to say that we do not all benefit in a way from migration. It is something, but we have to do that in an organized and regulated manner. And by the way, when we look at the EU itself, I mentioned it in the beginning, the free movement of people and the ability of people to settle where they want is one of the hallmarks also, of course, of what EU is all about.
So can you say the EU is unified?
In a way, yes, but this is always work in progress. This is always work in progress, and when you talk about that progress, what is unique in the European Union, I would say, is that this is always done through dialogue, through compromise making. This is not somebody who is imposing a vision, and this is the way that it's going to be. No, there's always value in dialogue and in compromise making. So this is a gradual process. Yes, the EU is unified, and the EU can become even more unified. But we have to do that on the basis of what is the vision of what the people have, what the ambition is, and there were dialogues going on. By the way, today we have a major summit taking place on Europe Day, the Sibiu summit, where the European leaders are looking at what should really be this future of Europe. What are the big pillars that we want to continue to work on? So this is a debate which continuously takes place, which is also informed by what the European citizens feel it should be. But it is a process. It is a process.
So in Sierra Leone, how are you celebrating this day?
Well, we have invited all our partners to a traditional Europe Day reception in the evening. We're celebrating it here this morning with you, which I think is a major way also of celebrating it. I also want to mention that last week on Friday, we had the pleasure to kick off the celebrations of Europe Day with a debate that we organized together with SLAJ, the Association of Journalists, on the occasion of the World Press Freedom Day, where we had a very good debate, I think, on criminal libel and quality journalism. We see this as all part of our celebrations, and I want to say that it will not stop this week, Europe Day. We will continue. We will organize a film festival also later on. It will be in November, that we want to do around the theme of child rights, and we are doing this together with UNICEF. But this is all part of our Europe celebrations. It's perhaps not Europe Day as such, but it's Europe celebrations.
Okay, stay with us, Ambassador Tom Vance. Well, if you listen to the program, you listen to Good Morning Salone, and in the program this morning we get the EU Ambassador to Salone, Ambassador Tom Vance. They talk about this day, and later on at the program, we can talk about the support where EU they give to Salone. The program now Good Morning Salone.
We will continue to look at small issues in the program. Well, as we all know, the Muslim them all over the world, they observe them fasting now when at the holy month of Ramadan. And today then they inside the 4th day and the holy month of Ramadan. As this they be the public relations officer for the Salone Muslim Congress, Sheikh Ali Khaled don't call on Muslim them na Salone for observe this month the right way, because they say this is a part of the Islam commandments them we Allah been give them. Well, Sheikh Ali Khaled talk more to Princess Pias about the holy month of Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Fast in the month of Ramadan. Now, one of the pillars, we get 5 pillars in Islam. Fasting in the month of Ramadan, now one of. When you look at them, anything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained, say, when I do them, not for in when they do them, not for when I serve. So when we do this fasting, you're not going to add anything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we not do them back, you're not going to reduce anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in power. So why make the fast? Now we want something. We need taqwa. We need for increase with faith. We want for Al Jannah.
Waiting on the reward where person will get where they take part by this fasting.
The most paramount now agenda. He has promised the paradise. This dunya nothing on it. This month, Allah help we. The shaitan, he lock him up. The month is so holy and spiritual that all the bad things then they cease for help we for concentrate.
Okay, so during this period when I do this fasting, so waiting on the expectation of Muslims them how they behave in the manner as well.
In Islam, we behaviors in most cases we they comply with the teachings. Alcohol, haram, adultery, fornication. Majority of the Muslims avoid it. Corruption. What do we achieve during this month of Ramadan is not different from waiting it before and after Ramadan. It will improve after Ramadan. Make sure say you avoid gossiping. So if you maintain this at the end of the day, you get for be good person.
Why make most of them people there the life where them they do where they can stop and for us for observe the holy months for man to go back to IBD.
Yeah, that's it.
But why for this?
Some man you na Ramadan Muslim, but I assure you that there are new Muslims where they don't come this time around, then try for correct themselves they need to go back to waiting them do. But the one way to do bad, now they're popular. After Ramadan, beaucoup lifestyle, then we done better. And they need to go back to waiting them do.
So now they observe this holy month now. Waiting you go like for the foot Muslims.
First time, let them be law abiding. It's the divine law. We keep fast, certain things that we not for do, not do them. We do during the month of Ramadan, give people their food and water. After Ramadan, that for continue.
Alright, well done, Sheikh Ali Kale. We did talk about that interview with Princess Pias, but the holy month of Ramadan, we Muslim them in different parts of the world, they observe now.
Salone Commercial Bank don't come with new banking products them for make life easy. With Million Online Bank and Million Mobile App, you can able for use Salone Link money transfer for send money to anybody like you not get bank account. Transfer or receive money na the same bank or any other bank. Transfer money to person or office like you not get the account number. Buy Ed-Salite, pay other bill them, and now get advanced salary. You don't need for worry again but almost money then you earn. Because you can able for pay for things the way you buy in a supermarket and other shop them with the quick response code payment. Yagbadon done for the boss man them. With Million Online Direct, you can upload salary, pay all your supplier them, sell forex to Salone Commercial Bank, and watch your account anytime. If you need the app, download them from Google Play Store or any Apple Store, or go to Salone Commercial Bank website www.slcb.com. Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, delivering value.
You are an innovator. We want bring change. You get passion and zeal for do something. Anytime you there, we dey look for you because you time don't come.
Salone Cable Limited believe the strength way technology and innovation get for make business and economy grow, and tin up stronger one for development we go come with money. And Salcap they launch for the first time, then Tech Startup Challenge. For you who want be part of this program, now for send you business idea and tin them what you sabi make, for tap the problem them inside book learning, well body business, agriculture and energy. Send your application to startup at salcap.sl. And member say, May 15 na the deadline for all application. For no more, call 079 923 524. The number again is 079 923 524. Salcap, connecting innovators to endless opportunities.
The program is still listening to now Good Morning Salone. They come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy, 98.1 FM. And don't forget at the studio this morning, we get the European ambassador to Salone, Wayne Ambassador Tom Vance. And that this morning for tell you about the EU Day, the Europe Day, we will be done talk about earlier. Now we can look at issues we get for do with Salone and then support to Salone. Among many other things, them the EU they support Salone PAM, the political, social, economic, infrastructure, and plenty other areas. Them the EU they support. And from what I've just said, you've been supporting us in political, social, economic, and other areas. And you've been here for a while, for over 2 years. You've been observing what has been happening. You were here during the election. You supported the election. And we have a president now. He has been in power for over 1 year. So from the support you gave us during the elections and what you've observed so far, what should you say about governance after the election?
Well, by the way, I have not been here for over 2 years. I've been here, it may feel like that, but I have been here for less than 2 years. But indeed, I had a chance to also go through the whole electoral process, which was a very interesting process. And it's good to note that this was not an easy process, as we all know. But I was very pleased that through a very strong engagement with a lot of dialogue in the end, also between all the key stakeholders, we managed to have a electoral outcome that was very credible and that was accepted, and that formed the basis for continued engagement also for partners like the European Union. I think that President Bio has set very clear and good priorities with human capital development at the center of this, which is something that we all subscribe to very much. In the meantime, there has been very good progress in preparing a national development plan, which offers a good framework for all of us to work. But of course, what we really want is a context in which we can focus really on the development agenda in the interest of the people, in a context in which we can all work in the context of inclusion and cohesion. The elections are over. They have been over for quite some time, so we really have to focus on that development agenda, and we are happy that we have had a chance to work very closely with the new government. Also, that President Bio has taken time early after his election to travel to Brussels. He met with the European leadership. He met with President Juncker, where we, I think, converged very much on the priorities and on the path set, and set the scene for a strong partnership and cooperation.
So from the support you've been given to Sierra Leone, especially after the elections, considering the support and what has been happening, is the European Union impressed with the areas you've been operating?
Yes, I think even before the elections, we work in a cycle. We do not just decide on our support on an annual basis. We work in a longer term cycle, and the priorities which we had identified, I think, are very much aligned with the priorities of the new direction, and these priorities are on governance, and I will enter into a little bit more detail after that, on education, which is of course the flagship of this new government, and on agriculture. There's a lot more that we are doing, but before I enter into a bit more detail on what we do under this cooperation umbrella, I want to emphasize that we perhaps also have a new direction of our own, in the sense, and again, I think this is entirely aligned to the vision of this government also. We want to move much more towards promoting investment and job creation. And we can do that in part, of course, also with our cooperation instruments. But this is also through promoting a dialogue on these issues, through tackling some of the barriers to investment and business, and addressing issues around the business climate, and to making available also other instruments to stimulate investment. Because if we want to transform the country, which I think is the ambition of all of us, we need to make sure that durable, fair, and enough jobs are being created, especially for the youth, and I would also want to say for the women, and that the economy is growing, and that Sierra Leone can stand on its own feet. There will always be partners to help there, but we need to move in this direction. So this, for us, is a important priority also, beyond the pure cooperation agenda that we are promoting.
So the EU you've supported, we've had a long cooperation, and your main focus is to reduce and eventually eradicate poverty and improve on the livelihood of citizens in Sierra Leone. So can you tell us now the areas of where you're supporting in the, to help eradicate poverty?
Yes. Let me zoom in a little bit more on two sectors which are key in our program, and one is education, and of course this is now very much anchored on the free quality education program. The focus of the EU as such under the current program has been very much on having a functioning teacher service commission. This is perhaps not the most visible part of what education is all about, but what we need to have is a very well managed system that delivers quality teachers, that allows for quality education to actually take place, and the Teacher Service Commission is taking a central role in that. But it also goes to the rehabilitation of school infrastructure, We are preparing the rehabilitation and furbishing of more than 100 junior secondary schools in the time to come now, and we will step up our support to the free quality education program, and we're at the moment looking at modalities to do that. Apart from that, let's say, which focuses on the traditional education structures and also on the management of that, and particularly with a focus on the teachers, I would say, we're also looking at TVET, because what is important, and TVET stands for Technical Vocational Education and Training. It's important that we equip youths with skills which are suited for the market. If we want to have employable youths, they need to have these skills. So this technical and vocational training is something which I think needs to increasingly get attention, and it's an area where we also want to expand our support. This is all support which is going through the government and in very strong partnership with the government, but we also continue to provide support through some of our NGO partners in the area of education, and this comes in complement to this broad 29 million euro program on education. A second area is on agriculture and food security, and this again I think takes a very central part in also the priorities of the government, and addresses very much the issue of poverty eradication, and this covers several elements. It looks at the policy environment, where we are providing some strong inputs in shaping some sectoral policies related to agriculture, but also addressing some acute problems. I'm just thinking, for example, of the fail armyworm problem that we have faced in the past months. Secondly, it looks at boosting agricultural research, which I think is an important element to increase agricultural production. We have also launched calls for proposals to support specifically a number of areas, and this looks at cash crops, food crops and livestock. And the last one, which is perhaps the one where element of that, which is the element where I am really enthusiastic about, is also that we are looking at supporting agricultural value chains and agro-businesses. We need to create viable agro-businesses and move away from the subsistence farming to a commercial kind of farming. So this is an area where we are planning to invest quite a bit, and in the future, because we are also at the final stages of preparing a new program which is actually looking at the area of education and agricultural combined, I would say, this area of creating sustainable businesses, notably in agriculture, is a very key area. So these are at the heart of some of the programs that we're doing.
Okay. So the two sectors you've spoken about, education and agriculture, you spoke about your supporting the Teaching Service Commission and also rehabilitate schools across the country. Now, in rehabilitating these schools, have you started, and which areas are you focusing on?
Yes, at the moment we're at a stage that we have identified which schools, and this is on the basis of a detailed survey which has been undertaken where the greatest needs are, and I want to repeat, these are junior secondary schools, and they're across the country. I don't have the exact locations with me now. The actual works have not started because the tenders are about to be launched to do that, but we will see certainly progress in the course of the year on this.
So who implements some of these projects?
Sorry?
Who implements them?
The way that we work is we do everything in direct partnership with the government.
Okay.
And some of these components are directly implemented by the government. Other components we do what we call a call for proposals or a tender. So it can be that there are organizations, they can be NGOs or private organizations who can submit proposals, apply to tenders. When we do, for example, rehabilitation works, these are contractors. And we do all of this in conjunction with relevant government departments, and we get also a very direct involvement in the contract.
So what about monitoring for value for money at the end of the day? Who does the monitoring?
Well, we have, it starts all by designing this in a way that we can get value for money. When we do our tender processes, we ourselves are very much looking into this. We have an office called the Office of the National Authorizing Officer who are very experienced in this, and then we have the people from the sector ministries who are also involved. So the three of us, we are designing this together. Sometimes we get technical expertise involved in the design, external expertise, and then we always have a evaluation component, an audit component, which is looking indeed that we do get value for money for what the support that we are providing.
Stay with us, Ambassador Vance. He is the European Union Ambassador to Sierra Leone, and he's here to talk about the EU Day-to-Day and their support to Sierra Leone. We continue with the program, 8:15, now the time from the studio clock. We'll go for the short break.
Better don't come. Now Union Trust Bank again. Union Salone Banco. Union Trust Bank get plenty product and service there for you. You must get what you want to go better. Let me savings account, ide. Current account, ide. Fixed deposit account, ide. Credit facility, ide. All for you. Me and you. Me and you. Union Trust Bank, Salone for me and you. Kids future savings account, ide. School fee savings account, ide. Pay advance salary scheme there. We branch and they all up but not alone. Boko no kenema, we dey. Kabala mabogo kakambia, we dey. Jala free town loan sa, we dey. And my lengthy one, me and you. Union Trust Bank, me and you. Union Trust Bank, Union Trust Bank, na Salone for me and you. Union Salone Banco. Union Trust Bank.
Union Trust Bank, empowering Sierra Leonean businesses.
The program Good Morning Salone, they continue with a look at other issues now. Outside this BNTM, the Auditor General Office been pulled one special report where they look inside the workways some ministry departments and agencies they may do inside the past administration. Parliament be don't tap all other institutions them, not for put and pan this document, so say the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament look inside the reports done first. But last week, Parliament done right to the ACC for carry on the investigate and charge people we get case for answer inside this report. But why this action? Honorable Mohamed Sidi Tunis, now the leader of government business at Parliament, he talked to Michael Sambola.
Yes, PAC, they look into the matter, and PAC don't start for look into the matter. We also believe, say, because of the MOU we don't sign with Anti-Corruption Commission, it was necessary. Instead of the incident, they wait to probably we job get for last another 2-3 months before we go complete them. We believe, say, in the interest and in the spirit of that memorandum of understanding, we go ask them for they also look into the forensic report and which side and feel say issues and they wait for being investigated, therefore carry on with the investigation and where necessary for prosecute.
You look at how the PC been on the
operate before. You get for done the report and also we then done the investigation and questioning, write to report, send on to the AG in office, and after that, which other institution one for do and we get the mandate can carry on for do so. Why the difference this time?
Because this is a special audit report. That's why now they make the difference. This government come at power with the platform for fight corruption. And if we get for fight corruption, then everybody, we all hands get for be on deck. PAC, that letter way and write, it not means say PAC work done. All we are saying is that in the spirit of the memorandum of understanding we will be done signed between the two institutions, we say go ahead and go to do your investigations. You don't need for we done. If there are issues we not satisfied with, we can always call them to attention.
I remember with the deputy speaker been the presiding in parliament, beside the auditor general been the. It make it clear that nobody not for interfere with that document. Next time with the auditor general do any audit for count and parliament. So I wonder why the technical change.
No, not any change. We'll be one for make sure for say what did the law say. Like I said, there has to be a rule of law. If the law don't talk, say if the auditor general done with the report now, parliament if a bring come, for God's sake, let them bring come parliament. Let parliament take a look at it. Where parliament don't look at, like right now, all the sectors and where they audit, parliament PAC don't look at all of them. Now we only go into details now, but because we don't get an idea, now we can say, okay, Attorney General, yes, go ahead and do ABCD. Why would they work on this? Anti-corruption, work with we side by side. You say go to look at the report now and make sure say which side you think say need day for investigate. Go ahead and investigate, and where necessary, prosecute wherever. You have the freedom. This letter, more or less, they give them the right and the authority for go ahead with the investigation.
How you go? How one institution go to prosecute, or the one still carry out the investigation of the same report too?
That will even help we all because we are sharing information. The information what would they get from what would they do with the share with them, and what they said they get the share with we. Now then, Sabi they get the technical manpower for do them investigations in there.
If this happen for the first time, people we critical go on for put politics inside, say mainly now because of government want for go after the opposition. Una parliament don't get instruction for at least let ACC do their work.
In the first place, everybody knows say this particular parliament. No, they take instruction just like that. No, we will not do it. Never. We will not go do it. I can assure you, I can assure anybody of that. The facts remain, say, the pressure, the tension in the country about this particular report. People really want to know what happened to the money them. Not forget, say, there was a time where every day people get to ask questions. What did happen here? What did happen here? What did they go on so? So if we only decide, say, Parliament, why would they go about with work? Let ACC, let Attorney General's office also go to do their new work small. Because let's face it, for do that report day, it's going to take us at least 3 months for complete them, 100%. Are we really saying that we get for wait so that 3 months is done before we will say, okay, now ACC, you can go ahead for look at this one, you can go ahead for look at no.
Well, that's Honorable Mohammed Sidi Tunis, when the leader for government business at Parliament, they talk on that interview with Michael Sambola. For Seka, they go ahead where Parliament don't give the Anti-Corruption Commission for carry on with work and investigate and charge people where they go fair not to get question for answer. For Seka, the last audit technical reports where the Auditor General's office been planned this BNT.
All right, we still get the ambassador, EU ambassador to Salone, Tom Vance. And Tom, someone is asking, please ask Mr. Venn to kindly give us time frame for his planned EU investment in commercial farming in Sierra Leone.
Well, we are in the final stages of preparing a call for proposals. So I think this will be launched in the next months, and we should be able to contract some of these activities before the end of the year. But we will be doing more on this. We are preparing actually a new program, a substantial program, 60 million euros, which will be looking at this area, not exclusively at this, but this will be also an important component in terms of also having financial mechanisms really to support commercial farming and value chains, and that's quite important. This should become online also next year. So from now onwards, you will see a lot of movement on the side of the EU in this area. But it's not the first time, by the way, that we have been doing this. We had a program. We just undertook what we call an ex post evaluation of a previous program, one which has finished, Agriculture for Development, where we have seen actually very good results of the capacity building in the private sector on agriculture.
So earlier you make mention of two sectors, education, apart from education, which was agriculture and education. What other sectors are priorities to you?
So the other big one is on governance. And governance is a big area, of course, and it starts with our budget support operation. So we have a budget support operation where up to 25 million euros of budget support is made available to the government on an annual basis now. And this strengthens, it's linked to strengthening public finance management, but also to reforms in agriculture and in education. So this is a first component, and we're looking at strengthening procurement around that, revenue mobilization, etc. We have an electoral component in that. We are providing support to Parliament, and maybe one thing that I can lift out of that is that we are working with Women's Caucus, and we're working very much also on supporting the preparation of legislation and implementation on legislation which is addressing gender issues. So that we have this Parliament component. We are supporting civil registration under this. This is a very important element also, and we are working with on civil service reform under this governance umbrella. The EU, I know, is also well known still for road construction. At the moment, a lot of work is taking place on two sections. One is the Banda Juma to the Liberian border. There are 3 major bridges which are now actually complete, which are going to make a huge difference for people who are traveling on that route, for trade stimulation. It's going to have a huge impact that people will not have to depend on these very precarious.
That's the way to my village.
Crossing. Very happy to hear that. And the other one is Moyamba Junction, where work is also underway. Main components of that are also bridge building. So this is an area where, as EU, we are also still very much engaged. We are involved in the energy sector. We are supporting the West African power pool with the construction of the interconnector between Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Guinea and Sierra Leone. We are investing in renewable energy. We have programs, and this is something that I'm very happy about, which are now starting to pick up also in terms of women empowerment and addressing gender-based violence.
I was coming to that.
Yes, and I'm going to say it already. Just 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, we launched with the First Lady a new program called WISE, which is about strengthening women entrepreneurship linked to renewable energy. I'm very excited about that, but we've also launched calls for proposals on gender-based violence, and this is a priority in the country, and it's an area where we're going to do more as well.
You've supported Sierra Leone so much as you're highlighting now. How is the cooperation with the government of Sierra Leone and also the office established to work between Sierra Leone and the government and the European Union, which is, well, the NU?
Yes, well, we are very privileged to have this NAO office under the leadership of Minister Nabila Tunis. We have a technical office which is established there, which is very much facilitating the work that we are doing with the government. I think as EU we're quite unique in our model and the extent to which we really work hand in hand with the government that relies on trust and also space for dialogue, which is necessary basically to move forward in an efficient way on this cooperation. But as I mentioned before, I think we have strong foundations. We have a national development plan to which we can align. We have a vision by the government, and we have to make sure that indeed there are not too many political distractions, that we can focus on this development agenda and that we can strengthen the dialogue, not just between us as EU, but I would say with all the development partners around these policy areas where we're engaged in.
Okay, I know you also have plans for young people. We'll talk about that when we come back. The time for almost 2 o'clock. Now, 8:30, we go for this short break.
Confusion. But this confused me, boo. Look where Uncle Nat in Wall Solid. Look him block them with them beat for him, where they save solid, and at the same amount of cement and sand then they use for beat me on. But look what in the happen, me wall down for them, all the block them all don't scatter. It like say some kind magic they behind this. You want to know the magic behind this? Now the superior quality, extra strong, extra life and extra yield cement where are the use, and that's not Dangote 3X Portland limestone cement. Dangote cement na the highest grade cement in the country, when na 42.5 R grade cement, when no one day come na this country, and na one of the highest grade pan cement where you go get na the wall. Where you want your concrete, wall and block solid, use Dangote 42.5 R cement, you no go regret them. You go get Dangote 42.5 R cement na all the shop and building material store na the one whole country.
Right, we continue the program. Good Morning Salone, where they come to you from 98.1 FM. When they go to other issue, who say this be in terms of civil society activists, them talk about the thing them with governments they do and thing them where they feel saying all right. Who say the chief executive director on a campaign for human rights and development international Chadi, Abdul Fatoma, say he don't say with some people they attack civil society member them personality in social media. I talk more to Saptiu Kalon.
Well, we come together as civil society leaders for condemn the attack on civil society, human rights activists, where they happen in the country. And we also see this government after government continue for threatening, the civic space for civil society, journalists in this country. And civil society don't play a very great role building a peace process in this country, and also building and promoting with democratic structures in this country.
You talk about attack on civil society. You will be specific or give any example of such, and the attack now from all that exactly and to all that.
And we don't get attack from the members of the public, where some other group they allege say they are from the main party. These are allegations. And but we know, say, we members then across the country, don't suffer from attack. So with that, we try to remind the government of the state obligation for protect every Sierra Leonean. This is a country where governed by constitution, so it's considered as a constitutional republic, and so we get a due process of the law. If any civil society falls out of the law, we want the government or any individual of this country to take that thing straight into the angles of the law. Not anybody for take the laws into their own hand and think that say because a civil society says something we're contrary different from the views of certain people in this
again,
country.
is such representative of civil society? We don't go through anyone recently of attack from the public or political party?
Marcela Samba for CGG don't suffer from that, and very recently I don't suffer from that. The Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs so attacked me personality several times while on air with 98.1 and also over AYV through social media. Several other citizens there, and so some of the other members and they don't physically attack them in this country.
So I want to not feel seen as some of the reason we make you say government or the public attack civil society representative there. Why you think say that can happen?
And because we get a different view, we get a different position with always within any ruling government they think about or do. And so when we get that opposing view, it might not always come in as a comfortable bed for government or supporters of government. So in returns, they think that civil society, they play the role of opposition. But we now complementary partners to government.
Looking at the attack you mentioned from the public, one would wonder an attack from the public to any civil society representative. How government for really control such, where the public not just an individual?
The government get a responsibility through the constitution of this country for protect every citizen of this country and care about the welfare and security of citizens of this country. So government needs for care, even they don't want to care because somebody doesn't speak comfortable words towards them, but the fact that the person did not this jurisdiction, a must, it's not an issue of option or compromise things. It's a must.
Do you think say on a message or wait on can go out there and talk to the public? Now a word of caution for let government know their responsibility, or some of on a statement can be a threat to the country and peace?
Some of we statement will ever be a threat. Some civil society leaders and society group know they come up with any threatening, things. We do, majority of the way they do policy advocacy, we do advocacy in terms of reminding government of the state obligations or recommending something in the policy where government for fix. That no picture like anything as a threat to neither the country's security. The reason I say each civil society get in your mandate.
Well, that's Abdul M. Fatoma, the Chief Executive for Campaign for Human Rights and Development International Chadi. Maybe they talk another interview with Sabtu Kalon, but concern where civil society organization then gets for the government protect the space within the use of the country.
Right, we continue with the program today na EU Day, and we get the pleasure for get the EU Ambassador Tom Vance, na Salone, Ambassador Tom Vance, and we use the opportunity for ask him but the support we EU don't give Salone. Tom, you've been here for almost 2 years now. They talk to you. Small.
I'm small. I'm learning. And my Creole lessons are way too often interrupted. But give me a few more months, and we'll do this interview in Creole.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Now let's come to the issue of women. And I know European Union is also actively fighting violence against women and girls around the world. What is your support? Are you supporting in that area?
Absolutely. And as you said, we are supporting this fight around the world. To just give you an indication of our commitment to this plight, we have launched last year a new initiative, the Spotlight Initiative, which is entirely about countering gender-based violence. It's a global initiative that we have launched with the UN together, in which we have put 500 million euros as an initial fund. But also here in Sierra Leone, of course, we realize this is a major issue, and we are very pleased to see that the government is taking this issue very seriously now also, and we have made available funds now also to very specifically invite organizations who are working on this area to submit proposals to step up the fight on gender-based violence. At the moment, we are assessing these proposals. I'm sure that we will do more in the future, but it is not only on this front, as I have indicated before. We are also looking at it from the role that Parliament is playing. We are ultimately also really looking at this issue from the perspective of empowering women, helping women have access to positions of decision making also, because it is our conviction that if women can take a more central role in decision making, be valued in society for what they should be valued for, then we are also going to be able to make more progress with this issue of gender-based violence.
So what do you make up of the percentage of women in governance in Sierra Leone?
Well, very clearly, when we looked at the election results and we saw a drop of women in parliament, which, by the way, and I keep on saying this is now half of what you see in a country like Somalia, where I was posted before. This is, I think, not acceptable. And I think we have to all redouble efforts to change that situation. And there are very strong women here. There are two sitting just in front of me in society. We have very strong women also in politics here. So it's crystal clear that there is no reason why we should have the situation that the numbers are still so limited, and we really have to look for mechanisms. This was, by the way, also one key recommendation of the EU election observation mission, which has made suggestions on how we can tackle that problem, that we will get more women in elected positions so that they can represent the 51% of the people that they actually do represent in this country.
Earlier on, when you were talking about agriculture, you make mention of creating jobs for young people. And we know majority of our young people are unemployed. And we have the National Youth Commission working with the Ministry of Youth to help in this area. Is the EU supporting these sectors in any way?
Yes, you have already mentioned agriculture. This is clearly an area where we have to prioritize job creation for child labor. We have a program which is we've had this idea of we can actually look how we can make sure that the local communities benefit from some skill training that will enable them to also take on some of these jobs which require a minimal skill to operate some of the machines, for example. So this is something that we're doing with them. I hope it's setting a model for more to do in the future.
The EU is doing all of this to ensure that you implement your policies in Sierra Leone. So over the years, how best have your policies fit into those we have here?
We always work on the basis of a national policy framework. Development does not work if there is no leadership, if there is no national commitment, and if there is no overall policy and development framework within which to work. So this is always the starting point for us. We look, what is the national policy framework? Now this is the National Development Plan. And then we align our programs to that. Of course, we always have a number of priorities which may fall outside that, but the core of our program, we design it together with the government, and we make sure that it is fully aligned with these priorities.
Ambassador, you started on with your support to Sierra Leone from 2014 to 2020, which the support will end. Mm-hmm. And then after 2020, what next for the EU? Are you folding up Or will you continue your support to Sierra Leone?
You know, we have been here for more than 40 years.
Okay.
It's clear that we're not going anywhere. There are two things which are ongoing at the moment. One is we have a political framework under which we are working with our partner countries in the ACP region. This is the Cotonou framework. This Cotonou framework is coming to an end, also in 2020, and negotiations are going on now to have a new
next year.
umbrella framework. Yes, but they are quite advanced, the negotiation. This is the framework which defines, okay, what are the principles that we stand for, what are the values, what are the global areas that we want to work together in, what are the political priorities that we want to have with our partner countries. So this is one part. The second part is the financing. As with the European Commission, a proposal has been made for external action. It's clear that our commitment to Africa is very key, and we will put more resources into Africa under the next financial framework. I expect that this is going to be linked to performance also, and it's also going to be linked to the agenda that we have, that we really want to create an environment in which investors, business can thrive, in which jobs can be created. But clearly we are here for the longer term, and I expect that if we can continue on a path of strong partnership and dialogue, the levels of support are going to go up.
All right, we'll now come to our text messages, but quickly, let's come to the budget, the EU budget support to the government of Sierra Leone. How is that going?
The budget support?
Yes.
Yes. So we have had one disbursement under the current budget support operation, which we did in November 2018. The government, I think, has made a very good start in terms of creating a robust framework for public finance management. I think at the moment the situation on that front is still quite good. The IMF was just here. They issued a press release, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. And we are working together with all the partners who are focusing on public finance management and macroeconomic management to stay on track there. And as I said, we are now also linking this to performance or to the reform agenda in agriculture and in education. And that requires a strong dialogue. Incidentally, today, after this, I am going to a meeting with partners with the Minister of Agriculture, which is creating a framework also to really deepen that sort of dialogue that we're having there.
All right, continue to stay with us. They look at text messaging now. When I don't send at the program this morning, the very first one they look at na Facebook. Enzi Amara, they say, Tom Vance, as an ambassador representing a large continent, as a foreigner, with all professionalism, how would you rate Sierra Leone in terms of peace, coexistence, and political stability? As a permanent representative of the EU, are you scared of your safety? Do you feel insecure because there is a social media rating of Sierra Leone that the country is not safe and at a risk of environment to live? How can the EU rate Sierra Leone in general in terms of peace and stability in all facets?
You want to take the questions down? So, okay. This other message say, thank you very much to the EU ambassador. I know it's a challenge in Europe, but your support to Sierra Leone has been key. May God bless European Union. Congratulations on your day.
Christian Beerboy on the Facebook page say, Asma, I'm more concerned with the dispensation of the 60 million euro that he mentioned of. We all know we spend more on European experts than empowering our locals for the sustainability of farming in the country. Is this going to be a different from the past?
This other message says, the European Union can come and support us with all the expertise and money. We as Sierra Leoneans need to take this support very seriously. And congratulations to the EU for your support over the years.
This other post, they say, Ambassador Vance, does the European Union give Sierra Leone loans? If so, What are the terms and conditions given to pay back these loans?
More message we don't come. He say thank you Tom Vance for coming into the studios. You hardly see experts come into programs like this, but I doff my heart to you, sir. May God bless European Union.
This one will go be my own final one. The person say illegal migration is a serious problem in Africa. What to be your advice to government of Sierra Leone to help reduce the rate of illegal migration? It come out from Mark 10 in England.
More message we don't come na the program this morning. This message they say, what is the importance of EU Day? All right, we continue with the program Good Morning Salone, and we want for kindly ask the minister Lawrence Liman for the frame from waiting they talk on with Facebook page, sir. We continue with the program Good Morning Salone. Over to you, Mr. Vance.
Thank you very much, and thanks for all the wishes.
Okay, I think the producer is saying we have walkabouts, and then we'll come over to you.
Okay.
Another morning, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Napoli nande go me attend to say what about so is this coach business we don't talk about then is a baba tunde don barantao na the way ya pool na say to see the kind way how baba tunde de barantana coach then is in the way no they in fact he call emergency meeting na say Tate don't go that far. Nothing. Baba Tunde want to say we want to let the justice system here is straight like the time. So that this democracy go switch man. But once people then begin watch the justice sector as you know no good. Ate grand you peton ate mono ate the go body. Ate don't the wonder. Ate don't the think yet we got political party then so then get go then get waiting there. Ate don't wonder how grand you peton go able for those see them and don't put them together in one the right way. Na concern man me na don't able what about.
Right, the time from we studio clock now 8:52, and we come over to Ambassador Tom Vance for response to the text message. At least you hear that one. You have to respond to text messages in the program.
Absolutely. And
okay.
First, let me appreciate all the wishes from your listeners for Europe Day. It's your day as well. It's not just our day. It's your day as well. Sierra Leone is ranked the third most peaceful country in Africa. It's a major achievement, and I think this is something that you, as Sierra Leoneans, need to treasure. You need to treasure and to defend also the democratic credentials that Sierra Leone has earned. It's not so easy to gain that status, to acquire this status. It's easy to lose it. So I think it's important that everybody works to preserve this. And to answer more specifically, I feel extremely safe walking around here. This is one of the very few capitals in Africa, and I've been in many, that I feel absolutely comfortable going anywhere without any fear of being harassed or. So this is we really have to appreciate the peaceful nature, I would say, of the people here, and we have to really work to preserve it, because let's not forget Sierra Leone is located in an unstable region. There's a risk that fragility may be exacerbated, that we may fall back into instability, so we really have to work together to all preserve that. On the second question, our new program that we're preparing now, and this issue of funds which are going to EU experts. Let me first appreciate the role that EU experts are playing. And by the way, our experts, they do not necessarily come from Europe. In some of our main programs that we have here, the experts are actually African experts. What we ask from our experts is that they have international experience. This is the first point. But the amount of funds which is actually going to the experts is only a fraction of the total amount, and there's a lot of misconceptions around that. On the third question, very quickly, we do not provide loans. All our support is grant support, and this will remain the same. Irregular migration, how to tackle it? Well, I think that we have to, as I said, first work on the basics to preserve really that people feel at peace in the country, that peace is preserved, that the democratic credentials are upheld. It's important for the confidence of the people, and that we really accelerate the development agenda, create jobs, sustainable jobs, create durable investment.
Someone is saying, as you mentioned already, EU contributes considerably to our country's budget support. You are probably the largest contributors, but I understand that there are usual delays in the disbursements of your funds. What are the reasons or challenges? And someone also is asking, please ask him on CSO's support to CSOs.
Okay. On budget support, very quickly.
The delay.
Actually, it's quite predictable. I can already tell you that we will make our next disbursement in November or December. So the government knows this in advance. It's quite a process because it's not budget support is not free support. It is hinged on achievements against indicators which we have decided together with the government. Assessing all of that takes some time, but there is a clear calendar for all this, and it's very predictable on the side of the EU when we will make our disbursements, and we do make our disbursements on time. CSOs take, and I would say CSOs and NGOs take a very important space in our cooperation also, and they need to work under a framework which facilitates their work. The vast majority of the NGOs and the CSOs here are doing a fantastic job, and we have to support that and facilitate that. We are working with them in numerous areas. Education is clearly one. I have mentioned addressing gender-based violence, which is an area where increasingly we are working. We are working on advocacy issues. And we will continue to work with CSOs very closely. Also through, by the way, which I didn't talk about, our decentralization program, because this is a key part of our governance program as well. Some of that is also about strengthening local CSOs to do service delivery and to provide accountability for what is happening in the districts that we are supporting.
So if you had to advise an investor or someone listening to you now out of Sierra Leone for business or to invest or for the EU to pour more cash in Sierra Leone, what will we use as something to convince them that Sierra Leone is somewhere they can invest at this time?
Well, let's be clear. At the moment, we really want to have a focused approach with the government ourselves, but also with the investors who are already here to tackle some of the structural issues that we still and that the investors are still facing. The most important thing is that there is a process in place to address these structural issues. But it is clear that the geographical location of Sierra Leone, the land which is available, the climatic conditions which are available, the access to and the marine resources which are here, these are all formidable assets that we now have to make sure are exploited in a sustainable way and in a way that will really benefit the country.
Thank you very much, Tom Vance. It's been a pleasure to have you on the program this morning as you celebrate EU Day. We wish you all the best, and definitely we'll be there to celebrate with you.
Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure to be here again, and I look forward to the next time.
Okay, well, that's now be the EU Ambassador to Salone, Ambassador Tom Vance. Mikaya this morning for talk about EU Day when at today, May 9, and the support where they don't give to Salone. One for tell plenty thank you to the production team, where na Michael Sambola and Alex Lawrence Koma, to DJ Lava for the technical support, and also Moses Kevua for make una see live on Facebook. On behalf of the Good Morning Salone team, me na Asma James to tell una goodbye.
And Mabel Kavadi to get yourself a wonderful day.
Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. Well, that's now in News and Current Affairs program. Good Morning Salone will come to you every morning from 7:30 to 9. Stay tuned, Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. At any time from now.